Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you again with another updated hero deck. And today's focus is going to be post the September 2023 Forbidden Unlimited list, of course, as Kestura Riceheart has been banned. So this deck is honestly going to be seeing a lot more play, at least in my opinion, just because that was one of the biggest weaknesses it had, where it went second and it just had no out to Kestura Riceheart. So with that out of the way, let's just jump straight into the video. Alright, so as always, we're going to be starting off with the monster lineup, so that means we're of course going to be playing 2 Elemental Hero Stratos. Some people play 3, but I still think it's not that great of a normal summon, so I'm perfectly fine with just playing 2, but if you want to play 3, by all means, I definitely encourage it. Then, to go with the Stratos, we're going to be playing 2 Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. I really enjoyed the second Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. I know a lot of people have been cutting it down to 1, but I don't know, it's really weird because I feel like this deck has no grind game. And that's really important because a lot of decks in the current metagame that are, like going to be playable, like Flounderies and Unchained, just have so much resilience and can just float like crazy. So you got to match that grind game with your own grind game, and the second Shadow Mist is more than enough to offer you that type of play style. Then you have the 1 Liquid Soldier, great card, phenomenal, draw 2, discard 1, whatever. Then you have the 1 Elemental Hero Neos, literally included in every single hero deck ever since the new Wingman cards came out. It's literally invaluable to the strategy, and it's not even a brick. You honestly don't even mind if you like card draw, right? Because it's just that good of a card now. Then that's it for the Elemental Heroes. We can move on to the Vision Heroes, starting off with 3 Vision Hero Faris. This is going to be your main play starter. Traditionally, I used to play 1. I still think you can get away with playing 1, but for now, 3 is definitely the way to go because you always want to have this card to combo off with your, as many cards as possible in your hand. Then you have 2 Vision Hero Vyon. Probably still the superior normal summon in the deck, especially compared to Stratos, because it just does so much. It foolishes, it sends Shadow Mist or like any of your Destiny heroes, then it adds Polymerization too, so I don't know. Fantastic card is fantastic, And then for the final Vision Hero, we're playing 1 Vision Hero Increase. It doesn't matter if you're playing 1, playing 2, or playing 3, you're going to Dendron and Brick with this card in your hand, so you might as well just play the 1 and try to limit that as much as possible. Then for Destiny Hero monsters, we're playing 2 Destiny Hero Malicious, the 1 Destiny Hero Denier, and the 1 Destiny Hero Plasma. I am not playing Destiny Hero Dark Angel just because I don't think it's good in this current metagame, and I'm going to tell you why. So, first look, right? The 3 best decks, Pearly, Flounderies, and Unchained. Pearly plays Link Kribo in the extra deck because they're all level 1s, so they just out it immediately. You'd be better off investing all your resources into making something like a Dark Law instead. If you play against Flounderies, much like Pearly, their entire extra deck doesn't matter, and they probably have a Link Kribo back there somewhere anyways, so they're going to be able to just link it off and get their spells off. And then, even if they don't have the Link Kribo, as long as they open Robina or like Eglin, they can pretty much out it almost immediately, because if you go for the Dark Angel play, you typically don't have Plasma to back it up, which means that those effects will be able to resolve, and then they can just tribute their card anyways. So, and then lastly, Unchained, you're just giving them free fodder to pop with. So yeah, I definitely do not recommend main decking it, but if you want to side it, that's perfectly fine. It's honestly probably better on the side, especially when you can guarantee that you're actually going to be able to go first. And that's it for the Destiny Hero monsters. And then we still play 1 other monster in the deck. We play 1 Crosskeeper. I'm still a really big fan of this card. Just like Liquid Soldier, it draws you 2 cards, but instead of discarding, it puts it to the bottom of the deck. So it's a great way to get your Vision Hero increases back to the bottom of the deck, or just in the deck in general, in case you do draw it, because you will draw it. And it has some other really cool uses too, such as if you get like hit by Drone Lockbird, right? This is able to discard itself and then special summon a hero monster from your grave or your hand, and you can typically just get like a level 4, and then you go into like an Exceed monster, and it should buy you enough time to try and hopefully win on your next turn. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can move on to the spell and trap portion of the deck. Now for the spell lineup, we are of course going to be playing triple Fusion Destiny. Card is fantastic. It fills up your graveyard with Destiny Hero monsters. It gets Enforcer on the field. It sets up any further plays that you can try with like Cross Crusader to search out important resources. This card literally does everything. It's just, I would not recommend starting with this card because it does lock you into Dark Hero monsters. And let's face it, after like all the new cards came out for this deck, locking yourself into Dark is just a handicap. So if you can, try and save it for like the end of your plays, if that's possible. Like obviously sometimes it's not, and you just have to start with it because your hand is so bad, but it's not the worst case scenario because you can at least still somewhat play. After that, we're gonna be playing 3 Hero Lives. Not much to say. Activate it, pay half your life, special summon a monster, usually Stratos, but sometimes Shadow Mist, and then proceed to combo off. Next, we're gonna be playing 2 Dark Ruler No More. This is probably the biggest flex spot in the deck, and I'm not really sure how I want to approach it because you can play like Book of Moons, Book of Eclipses. Forbidden Droplet with the Rice Heart being banned is honestly pretty solid too, especially because it helps get rid of bricks in your hand back into the graveyard and things of that nature. But I feel like Dark Ruler No More is probably still really solid, but we don't have like official testing yet, so take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, something better may come along. I just haven't seen it yet. Next, we're gonna be playing 2 Mass Change. This is honestly something that I'm considering bumping up to 3, just because with the loss of a Rise Heart, graveyard decks might try to, get a little bit more brash and see a lot more play. And when graveyard decks are good, Dark Claw is good. So, and that means you're pretty much going to want to have access to Dark Claw as often as possible. And in order to do that, you want to maximize it by playing 3. But for now, 2 Mass Change is perfectly fine. Then to go with the 2 mass changes, we're playing 2 Polymerization. I love Polymerization, especially at 2, just because it allows you to do so many cool things. Like, you're not reliant on hard drawing it, because let's face it, there are some hands where Polymerization makes or breaks it. So having the option to actually have the second one and just draw it and, combo off is really good. Next, we're playing 2 Triple Tactics Thrust. And I gotta say, card's pretty solid. There's still going to be bestials flying around. You're going to get hand trapped, whether it's by Dimension Shifter or Drone Lockbird. If you're going second, it's another fantastic card that just lets you break your opponent's board. It pretty much does everything. But the most important part about this is that if you do get hit by something like Drone Lockbird, Triple Tactics Thrust will in turn allow you to get your favorite contact trap card. And from there, you just pretty much play by trying to fill up your graveyard as much as possible to make sure your favorite contact is actually going to be live. So yeah, this card has like a lot of really cool uses in this deck, and I really enjoy it. And then to go with our Triple Tactics Thrust, we're of course playing the 1 Triple Tactics Talent. If you do get hit by Bestial, sometimes getting something like Talent and drawing 2, or looping your opponent's hand, or taking a monster can straight up win the game. We're playing 1 Call by the Grave. Good card is good. 1 Miracle Fusion to search off our Elemental Hero Sunrise. 1 Reinforcement of the Army. 1 Foolish Burial. And 1 Emergency Call. All fantastic spells that pretty much help get your play started as consistently as possible. I don't really recommend playing more than 1 Emergency Call just because the hero count is already pretty low. So, you're eventually going to end up breaking on having multiples because you don't really want to draw all your elemental heroes. You'd rather have them in the deck and search them out through other methods. And that's it for the spells. And then for the traps, we're playing 2 Infinite Impermanence, another fantastic card to set off a Triple Tactics Thrust. And if you're going second, it's probably the best hand trap just so you don't get hit by talents yourself. And the 1 Favorite Contact. And with that, that's the spell and trap lineup. And now we can move on to the extra deck. And when it comes to the extra deck, we're of course going to be playing 2 Master Hero Darklaw. Much for the same reason that a Rise Heart was such a powerful card, Darklaw does pretty much the exact same thing, as it pretty much turns off all these graveyard decks that are just waiting in the wings to be able to become playable, Dark World, Vanadium, Synchro. I can go on and on and on about these decks that just rely on the graveyard and Darklaw just being able to auto-win the matchups a lot of the time. Card's fantastic, and even against something like Unchained, for example, right? Even though those only need to be destroyed in order to activate their effects, having them banished is a really big blow to their grind game, and Darklaw can a lot of the time just straight up win the matchup. Then we're playing the 1 Destiny Hero Dangerous. So sometimes your hands are really weak and all you really have is a Fusion Destiny play, but off that single Fusion Destiny you can still have instant access to cards like Darklaw by just going Special Summon Dangerous by sending Malicious and Shadow Mist. You Special Summon Malicious, link for Cross Crusader bring back either Dangerous or Malicious, it doesn't really matter. Then you tribute that, add Liquid Soldier, normal the Liquid Soldier, Special Summon the Shadow Mist effect will activate, getting you the mass change, and then boom, instant Master Hero Darklaw. Simple enough, right? And like I said, Darklaw can just straight up win the matchup from there. So yeah, you have to play this one. Then the other Fusion Destiny target, Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. If I'm being honest, I tend to hard make this way more than actually using Fusion Destiny to summon it. But still, fantastic card. Although I don't know if it's going to be as effective, just because, as I said earlier, Unchained is probably like the best deck in format, and all those cards float off of being destroyed. So, do with that what you will. Enforcer, while it's still a really good card, it does have some weaknesses, or it's just not as effective in this current format. Then you're going to be playing 1 Elemental Hero Sunrise. Fantastic card, pushes out your Miracle Fusions, boosts all your monsters by 200 attack for every different attribute you have. Card's great. And then for the Omni Heroes, we're only going to be playing Elemental Hero Escuridao, Sunrise, Nova Master, Gaia, Great Tornado, all bad. Absolute Zero is a really good card, but I just don't think it's going to be effective in the upcoming format just because Much like Enforcer, it will trigger all your opponent's Unchained monster effects to destroy it if you like choose to destroy them, which will happen if Absolute Zero leaves the field because it's a mandatory effect. And yeah, it's just not that great right now. But escuridao, especially when you're locked into dark monsters, gives you that extra body that you may need to just push for games. So I still really like escuridao, and I really want to include them pretty much in every single deck, just because, you know, it will happen when you activate Fusion Destiny and you're just locked into darks and you have nothing to make but this card. Next, playing Elemental Hero Flaying Wingman Infernal Rage. This is going to be the card that you use to search out your favorite contact, which in turn will get you to Shiny Neos Wingman. And if you're not playing against Unchained, this card's fantastic because it pretty much is always guaranteed to destroy 1 to 2 cards. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Unchained is such a weird matchup, right? Because the deck is really good at just playing through our disruptions because everything that we do actually ends up destroying cards. But if we have the Dark Law out, it's really hard for them to, you know, actually play through everything. So you just have to be smart and try to get access to Dark Law as soon as possible. And then for the final fusion monster, you have 1 Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. Another great way to be able to get to Dark Law as soon as possible, because all you have to do is you summon Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. You destroy it with like your Destroyer Phoenix Force, for example, and this is during the end phase typically. You special summon the Shadow Mist will search Mass Change, and then you make Dark Law. But if you don't want to do that, it's also a really great card to finish off your opponent, because if you use fusion monsters for material, it gets bonus attacks, it gains attack, it just does everything that you want to do in a monster to try and finish off your opponent. So really good card, but only 1. Then for links, you play the 1 Extra Hero Wonder Driver, sets your polys, your Mass Chains, your Fusion Destinies, your Miracle Fusions, whatever from the graveyard to be reused again. And then it has an additional effect where it summons from the hand, but we don't really care about that if I'm being honest. You play 1 Extra Hero Infernal Devicer. This card searches out your Elemental Hero Neos by revealing usually your Shiny Neos Wingman, but you literally don't use it besides anything but that. But just being able to add Neos whenever we want is really solid. Then you play the 2 Extra Hero Cross Crusader. This is going to be your main grind game, which does happen a lot because, weirdly enough, a lot of decks can still grind out through heroes even though we have like all the multiple disruptions. Typically, for games 2 and 3, once you floodgate them in addition to the hero card, it's going to be a lot more easily. It's going to be a lot more easy, and you don't need these cards as often, but the cards are just really good. Then that's it for the links. And then for Exceed monsters, we're playing number 41 Baguska, the Terribly Tired Tapier. This card is for when you get hit by Drone Lockbird and you have literally nothing else to do. You just overlay into this and hopefully it buys you a turn. And then for the final card, we're playing 1 Abyss Dweller. So you know how I said Unchained is a really weird matchup because everything floats off a disruption? Well, if you don't want to make Dark Law, Abyss Dweller plus all those interruptions is a really good method to be able to just auto-win the game because it'll turn off all their graveyard effects from triggering. So, with that, that's the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!